Genshin Impact is a game driven by its characters, both in narrative and in marketing. While not all of these characters are equally complex or interesting, most of their depth is revealed in their story quests, when the main plot is set aside to reveal more of their struggles and focus on their daily life. Often, I gain a new appreciation for a character only after completing their story quest. Story quests like those of Venti, Child, or Raiden Shogun portray the characters through completely different perspectives. As a result, these quests are valuable to me as more than just a developer's marketing tactic. Every now and then, you come across a quest that is deeply insightful, and that's precisely what I discovered upon completing Alhaitham's story quest in version 3.4. Alhaitham is a character often misunderstood, both in-game and by the fandom.
You know, Paimon's heard that Alhaitham's been made acting Grand Sage, but with that personality of his, oh boy. You think things will be okay?
It took a lot of effort for the main character to get to know him and gain his trust in the Archon quests, and he is often indifferent and insensitive in conversation. He is asocial and seemingly displays no interest in idle chatter. When working with others, Alhaitham has a tendency to take charge over the situation, and while he was crucial in rescuing Nahida, he seems to receive very little credit for it. Although, to be fair, Alhaitham has no interest in receiving credit. In his every interaction with the other characters, he is laser-focused on achieving his goals, operating almost as more of a machine than a human being. But it's for that very reason that I believe he is so important for this game. Yes, Genshin Impact has included introverted characters before, but people like Albedo, Zhao, or even Diluc are all more willing to carry on conversation than Alhaitham seems to be. As a result, most fans don't connect to him on a personal level. Despite having arguably one of the best character demos in the game's history, Alhaitham's value in the fandom is generally relegated to his attractive design, and I think that's an unfortunate result of a misunderstanding of Alhaitham's personality. But to find out why, we first have to analyze him psychologically.
Autism, also known as autism spectrum disorder, is characterized by symptoms that include impairments in social communication and interaction, and restricted and repetitive behaviors.
Yes, after completing Alhaitham's story quest, I am now of the opinion that he is on the autistic spectrum, or neurodivergent in some way. While I'm almost certain that Hoyo did not intend this takeaway while writing the character, I still hold this as a valuable instance of representation. This is really more of a headcanon than anything else. Obviously, I can't speak authoritatively on this game. This is not a conclusion that I make lightly, as I am far from a professional in this field. However, I myself display many symptoms attributed to those on the spectrum, especially in childhood. And it's crucial to remember that it is in fact a spectrum. People like myself and Alhaitham are likely high-functioning autistic. Also classified as Asperger's syndrome, this condition does not interfere with basic reasoning or thought processes. In fact, in many cases, it can even offer advantages over the neurotypical. It's important to not think of this as a disability. In many ways, Alhaitham is one of the most intelligent Genshin characters of all. As an adult, he's clearly learned to use his neurodivergence to his advantage. He does in fact have emotions, it's just that he doesn't consider them often in his decision-making. He seems perfectly content to not have many friends, and he wears noise-canceling headphones frequently. However, he sees other people as more than just tools to achieve his own ends, and he criticizes others who hold such beliefs. Though he is somewhat insensitive when working with others, he very much values diversity, and is perfectly willing to assign tasks he's not comfortable with to those who are more neurotypical. His ability to put aside his emotions and consider a situation objectively makes him an invaluable strategist. However, while Alhaitham himself cares little for others' opinion of him, the way that other characters interact with him is somewhat problematic occasionally. Personally, I don't appreciate the early scenes in Aru Village, in which Cyno and Alhaitham are both depicted as being childish or selfish by refusing to talk to each other. It comes across as really cheesy. Like, ooh, oh no, the boys just like to fight with each other, they don't know how to communicate. Especially when it's left to the female characters like Candace and Dea to sort out what is portrayed to be a petty argument. They're just two rational individuals living in a volatile political climate in which it's difficult to know who to trust. But it's really not all that big of a deal. I mean, aside from that one scene, I can't really think of anything else that could be perceived as problematic.
Ha! That's rich coming from you. Could have helped me with the housework for once. And this is the thanks I get for it? You don't understand anything. Well, that's a bold-faced lie. Oh, right, with his temper?
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Kaveh's characterization in the quests so far are the perfect example of how not to talk to a neurodivergent person. I was honestly surprised by just how constantly I sided with Alhaitham in these exchanges. Kaveh is critical, ill-tempered, and consistently baits his roommate by asking his opinion and then getting upset when it isn't exactly what he wants to hear. The only reason Alhaitham doesn't understand and comply with his roommate's emotional needs is because he has so few of his own. The fandom clearly has its own agenda regarding these two characters, but I just want to make it clear that there's a difference between playful banter and insensitive miscommunication. I'm sure that Hoyo will try to change my perception to get me to pull for him in future updates, but as it stands, he's definitely one of the most unlikable characters in the roster. Right up there with Yai. But it's finally time to talk about why I think Alhaitham's story quest is so brilliant.
Your argument is logical.
It's worth noting that at the beginning of the storyline, Alhaitham only takes interest in this anomaly because he finds it intriguing. A selfish and emotionless individual would feel no need to help Ilias, who is Goro, by the way. He's also quick to make clear his disapproval of Siraj's experiments. Using human minds as nothing more than informational batteries is a perversion of science. While he is focused on achieving the goal, Alhaitham never puts unnecessary pressure on Ilias because, even if he doesn't understand it, he respects his volatile emotional state. He respects everyone, even those less knowledgeable than himself. It's what makes him such a great scholar, but that doesn't mean Ilias didn't serve his purpose. At the end of the story quest, Alhaitham's true plan comes to light. This is one of the rare climactic twists in a Genshin Impact story quest that actually surprised me. Alhaitham used the seeds of doubt that he himself planted in Ilias's mind to pull off one of the biggest 4D chess moves in the entire game. And the brilliant irony of it all is that Alhaitham was only able to pull off this strategy because he does understand social interaction. He created discord within the hive mind by challenging each member's ego. He used their emotions against them, and logic won the day. All of it culminating in a truly epic and chilling cutscene, where Siraj's god complex is upstaged and he is sucked into, as the name of the quest implies, the illusions of his own mob. Between this and tricking Azar by pretending to be enraged, Alhaitham truly excels at dunking on the emotionally volatile, but he also does so humbly, without cruelty or prejudice. And after this master plan comes to its resolution, Alhaitham simply acts like it was nothing.
Well, I thought it was obvious.
Bearing all of that in mind, I believe this quest has some things to teach us about dealing with the neurodivergent, be they Asperger's or anything else. When interacting with such individuals, there's no need to feel offended when they keep to themselves or require personal quiet time.
Don't be offended if you try to greet me on the street and I don't respond. It's simply because I'm wearing my soundproof earpieces. That's all.
It's not that they don't value your companionship, they simply require less social interaction. Much like my younger self, Alhaitham does not resent conversation, he just struggles to understand social cues. And when you do interact, remember that these individuals do have emotions. They simply think about things more rationally. This can be a very valuable perspective. Just because those with Asperger's don't get as excited or impassioned as you do, doesn't mean they can't make good friends and companions. It's very unhelpful to write people off simply because they think differently than we do. Not everyone can be loud and charismatic. By the end of the story quest, Alhaitham does consider the traveler to be his personal friend. You can tell because he's willing to explain both his plan and his ideals. For someone who values sensitive information so highly, his willingness to share it is meaningful. Even if we all know that Paimon can't keep a secret.
Speaking of which, your friends won't say anything, right? Tell them to keep all this a secret.
Thanks for watching my analysis. Be on the lookout for more videos coming soon. Until next time, keep thinking critically.